troubling trend and one that our team is committed to reversing. MPD's multifaceted robbery intervention plan includes prevention, response, and investigative components. Preventing crimes before they occur is our goal, and data-informed deployments and community education are equally important parts of our efforts. Each of our 7 patrol districts has an assigned crime analyst, and we have a team of centralized data scientists that supplement their efforts through more long-term strategic and preventive and predictive analysis. These experienced professional staff members crunch the numbers and map our data to show us where and when crimes have occurred. And they help us to predict where we should deploy to prevent future occurrences. When we identify hot spots and trends, we deploy our patrol officers and special mission units to those areas quickly. Providing timely information and education to the community is equally important. We regularly share our crime reports, release information to the press and on community listservs, and engage with the community so you are aware of the trends and can make informed decisions related to your safety and help us close cases by identifying suspects. I encourage you to visit our website and follow our social media accounts to receive this valuable information in real time. As an example, when we recently experienced robberies targeting our Latin construction workers, members of our Special Liaison Branch visited construction sites throughout the city to build relationships with these individuals and to inform them of the trends. We do everything we can to share information and to make sure that people feel comfortable reporting crimes to us when they happen so that we can help. Officers on foot, bikes, and scooters from our patrol section and the Community Focused Patrol Unit regularly interact with business owners in commercial areas that have experienced establishment robberies. We engage delivery drivers and rideshare drivers to remind them to not leave their vehicles idling and unattended, even if just for a second. And if need be, we ticket those unoccupied vehicles left running that are prime targets for theft and ultimately used in the sprees. We will continue these outreach and enforcement efforts. When offenses occur, our officers aid victims and track perpetrators with the goal of apprehending them quickly. We use cutting-edge technology and resources, including video surveillance, GPS location tracking, and license plate readers. When a crime happens, our patrol officers and crime suppression teams do everything they can in that very moment to catch the suspects. I assure you that our officers are not content to just respond and take a report and then let our great detectives handle the investigation. In the last 7 days, 11 robberies have been closed with arrests. Uniformed patrol members had a hand in many of those closures due to their quick and thorough initial responses to calls for help. This year, 62% of robbery offenses have been committed by suspects armed with guns. MPD remains focused on removing illegal guns from the community, and so far this year, our efforts have led to the recovery of nearly 800 guns. This is an increase of over 40% from the same time last year. We encourage the community to continue providing tips about illegal guns. You will be eligible for a cash reward of up to $2,500 for a tip leading to an arrest and a seizure of an illegal gun, plus an additional reward of up to $5,000 for a ghost gun or handgun equipped with an automatic conversion device. Finally, I'd like to highlight our investigative efforts. I feel confident in saying that our detectives are some of the most dedicated, talented task force to investigate carjackings, pattern robberies, and other crimes involving vehicles across the region. This task force consists of a team of experienced detectives that specialize in the investigation of robberies and violent crimes. We have expanded the number of detectives on this task force and have received incredible support from our federal partners on many of these investigations. The carjacking task force is effective because they are centrally located and they have a citywide view of crimes as they occur versus other detective units that are typically assigned geographically in one of our 7 districts. Removing the traditional siloing of information allows us to recognize patterns in real time, share information across jurisdictional lines, and quickly close cases. You heard Chief Conti and the PG County Chief Aziz, along with Mayor Bowser and County Executive Alsobrooks, speak about our partnership a few months ago. This increased information sharing is taking place at all levels, from the patrol officers that get to know their colleagues working on the other side of the state line, to the district commanders that hold regular meetings with their counterparts. When we close cases and hand them over to the United States Attorney's Office or the Office of the Attorney General, our involvement and yours does not end there. Our detectives continue to work with prosecutors to build stronger cases even after arrests are made. And we also rely on community members to continue their involvement. We publish data on arrests daily, and I encourage you to follow those cases as they progress through the courts. I also encourage those willing to provide impact statements to the courts to help illustrate the harm that these offenses cause, not only for the individual victims, but for also the community at large. We know that a very small percentage of the population commits a majority of the crime. This makes it that much more important for us as a justice system and as a community to ensure that our focus remains on holding repeat violent offenders accountable. I'm about to share some information on a few highly publicized cases that occurred earlier in the week in which dogs were stolen during robberies. In the last 2 days, thousands of messages, tweets, emails, and news stories have been shared about these two cases. That level of support and community engagement helps us close cases, and I ask the community to bring that same level of determination in helping us to close all cases. Over the course of the last 48 hours, detectives on the carjacking task force, and we have some of them here today, worked tirelessly to investigate a violent crime spree that occurred during a 1-hour period in the afternoon of Wednesday, April 13th. In the first case, the victim was walking his dog in the 5400 block of Kansas Avenue Northwest at approximately 3:45 p.m. Armed suspects arrived in a vehicle and announced a robbery. They stole personal property and the victim's dog, a French bulldog named Bruno. Approximately 45 minutes later, in the 2000 block of 8th Street Northwest, armed suspects approached the victim and robbed him of his personal property and his dog, an Australian Shepherd named Pablo. Approximately 10 minutes later, in the 2100 block of 4th Street Northeast, occupants of a vehicle shot 2 men in the block before fleeing the scene. Less than 10 minutes after this shooting, the suspects committed another armed robbery in the 1300 block of 2nd Street Northeast. The lookout for the suspect vehicle was shared with officers across the city, and in less than 1 hour, 2 of our astute patrol officers in the 5th District located the vehicle. Investigators from the carjacking task force focused their investigation on a residence nearby to where the vehicle was recovered. Without disclosing their specific investigative techniques, I can say that they were able to establish probable cause to search this residence for firearms-related evidence. Last night, around 8 p.m., members of the carjacking task force, with the assistance from our Violent Crime Suppression Division and the 1st District Crime Suppression Team, executed a search warrant at a residence in the 1200 block of 18th Place Northeast. Immediately upon entering the residence, our investigators found Pablo, the stolen Australian Shepherd, in the living room. During a search of the residence, investigators also located 2 firearms, a .45 caliber pistol and an AR-15 style rifle. Drugs, over 100 rounds of ammunition, and other evidence was also seized from this location. 7 subjects, 4 adults and 3 juveniles, located inside the residence were arrested for receiving stolen property, Pablo, and for those charges related to the firearm and drug evidence found within the residence. In addition, one of the juveniles, a 15-year-old of Landon, Maryland, was also charged with 3 armed carjacking offenses that occurred during a spree the day before on April 12th. At this time, detectives are continuing their efforts to piece together the evidence collected over the last 48 hours. In consultation with our prosecutors, additional charges may be placed on these offenders. Detectives were still at the residence early this AM, so it is very early in the investigation, and we will provide additional details as they become available. Unfortunately, the French Bulldog Bruno has not yet been recovered, and we urge anyone with information to please contact us on 202-727-9099 or by text message to 50411. You can remain anonymous. At this time, I'd be happy to answer questions. Yes, Sam.